Upon entering a level in Pizza Tower, you're greeted with a title card that shows the level's name and various quirks of the stage, all in the art style of a 90s cartoon. And so today I'm going to be ranking all 21 of these title cards from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite. But before the ranking can begin, there are a few disclaimers I need to make. Firstly, this ranking is all just my own opinion. I believe a good number of these title cards are really close in terms of quality, and I think that even the one in last place is pretty cool, so please keep things civil in the comments section, but by all means feel free to express your own opinions on the title cards. Second, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning. If you haven't played Pizza Tower and you're watching this video, then what are you even doing here? Go play it right now, it's peak! Third, while my criteria for ranking the title cards is primarily based on the cards themselves, the introductory level jingle that plays during each one will be factored in to a lesser extent. So now with all that preamble out of the way, it's time to finally start the ranking proper. So grab yourself a slice and sit back because it's pizza time! Picking a card for dead last was no small feat, but surprisingly enough it was Pizzascape that landed in 21st place. I love Peppino's heroic pose with the suit of armor here, and the storm cloud with the lightning bolt is a nice reference to how Peppino actually acquires the transformation in this level. The only reason it didn't get very high is because just like many of the other early levels in the game, there's a lot of blank space on this card. Still very epic looking and solid though. The cool thing about the John Gutter title card is that it takes full advantage of all the dark space. This is the first real level of the game, so having a spotlight illuminate the only colored in section of the card is a really great way to build tension. It's also very thematically appropriate considering this level takes place underground, so it makes sense that only a few stray rays of light are reaching down here. The many glowing eyes in the background are another great way that this one adds to the uncertainty both Peppino and the player are likely feeling at this point in the game. Just like the level itself, it might be ranked relatively low for me all the way down at number 20, but it's still really great. At number 19 we have Oh Shoot. Aside from the obvious Mario reference here, there isn't a lot to talk about, so maybe now would be a good time to discuss the difference between honest and dishonest title cards. Honest title cards are ones that clearly show off stage elements and enemies that are actually present in the level. Dishonest ones blatantly misrepresent the stage they precede. However, for the purposes of this ranking, all I really care about is whether or not a title card gets me excited for the level to come. And if it has to lie to accomplish that, then I really don't have a problem with it so long as the title card and the level itself is still enjoyable. Both of the title cards I've reviewed so far in this video have been fairly honest, and this one is as well. Here we have the Giant Slime, Ninja Slice, and Mr. Pinch, all of which are actual elements of the Oh Shoot level. Peppino and Gustavo are just getting totally overwhelmed by the opposition here, and you can really tell the Pizza Man wants to book it out of this place as quickly as possible, and I'm all here for it. Ancient Cheese Bros are just unstoppable lately because this time around it not only didn't get last place, but made it all the way up to 4th worst. At this rate it's bound to get first in one of these things eventually. But yes, I think the Peppino Thinker statue parody is a really cute touch here. It's a mildly dishonest title card, with the architecture playing a bigger role in the art than in the actual level itself. Again, that's not really a bad thing though, and this is still a very strong showing by Ancient Cheese standards. Many title cards in this game show Peppino nervously confronting some sort of ominous threat posed by the level, but I think very few of them handle that aspect of the art quite as well as Fast Food Saloon at number 17. As much as I like this one, there's one small thing I would change to make it place a lot higher on this ranking. We've got the 2 ranch shooters visible in the mirror on either side, but what if the shadowy figure in the middle looming over Peppino was the Vigilante? That would be a really neat way to foreshadow the boss battle that takes place immediately after this level. Still a very cool concept for a title card with great execution as it is though. Fun Farms taking 16th place, and for this one the coolest thing about it isn't even the card itself, but the fact that it created a massive trend for digital artists to draw other title cards featuring Peppino crossing over with a plethora of other franchises like he is with Mort in the original. While it definitely gets a lot of points for outside factors like that, The actual image itself is pretty good though, and you can really feel Peppino's annoyance at this silly bird roosting on his head. At number 15 we have Blood Sauce Dungeon, and this is pretty run-of-the-mill as far as title cards go, and I like it. It's almost kinda got like a Dungeons and Dragons thing going on, and Peppino's giving his trademark nervous look at a pincer, which shows how high of an emphasis this level places on big swarms of enemies. War's title card is harrowing and very honest. In the actual level, you're thrown into the action practically straight from the start, so it's nice that the card is equally as straight to the point, especially thanks to the heavy use of orange-red to get those alarm bells firing off in your head from the very first second it appears on screen. The only reason this one didn't get higher is because of the intro jingle. I don't think it really matches the intense and high-stakes vibe of the card. But then again, it would be almost impossible to convey that emotion using the Mario Sunshine vocal sound font, so I'm not really sure what the right play should have been here for the jingle. You want to talk about dishonest though, very few title cards are more dishonest than golf. It sets you up to think it's going to be a really intense action-packed thrill ride. Heck, between the red background and shotgun, it's basically setting you up to play war. But then you actually play the level and it ends up being one of the most chill stages in the entire game. That doesn't diminish how cool it looks though. The Doom reference in the art is a nice nod, and this card has a special place in my heart for being the inverse of the Don't Make a Sound subversion, but we'll cross that bridge in a bit. Secrets of the World comes in at number 12, and this one has a ton of cool little details that make it a lot of fun to just take in. It's really one of those images where the more you look, the more there is to see, like the fact that Peppino's just literally typing words over and over again. At the time of recording, this is also currently the newest title card in the game, so it just felt really nice to see a new one after so long, but I tried not to let recency bias play a role in this ranking. I think it's just a great representation of Peppino trying his hardest to make heads or tails of whatever the heck happens in the background of the secret rooms. Freezerator takes the number 11 spot, and this one's just really funny to me. Peppino is so done with Pizza Face's shenanigans by this point in the game, while the absolute menace is gleefully lobbing a massive snowball at him. If you look closely, you can see that Pizza Face's entire torso is actually taped on specifically for this title card. Does this level actually have anything to do with a bus stop? No, and considering how good the actual level is, I'm glad it doesn't. But I love the direction they took with this one. It almost feels like a scene out of Hey Arnold or something. The Mario Sunshine sound font used in these jingles also has good synergy with this card, as well as the oven leitmotif. Waste Yard's title card is just really depressing. I remember thinking it was going to be a very emotionally charged level going into it for the first time. One look at Gustavo and you can tell he's genuinely heartbroken over his friend dying. This is another one where the jingle fits perfectly with the card because the usually upbeat sound font sounds really somber here. I just knew this one had to be in the top 10, and surprisingly it landed exactly at number 10. If this image were for an actual episode of a Pizza Tower cartoon, then I could definitely see it being for a ratings trap episode where it's advertised that Peppino will die. But then you watch the actual episode and he just comes back at the end because it was only the ghost transformation. Also, the left side of the spotlight's looking a little bit sus. Crust Cove's title card features an epic clash between one of Peppino's ancestors and an off-screen goblin. Considering how heavily this level focuses on sea conflict with the goblins, I'd say it's pretty fitting. This is another one of those cards where they snuck in as many of the gimmicks from the actual level as they could. Just look at the barrel on the left. You can even see the actual background of Crust Cove itself peeking through the planks on the wall and the top right corner. Very action-packed title card, I'm giving it 9th place. In 8th we have Oregano Desert, and to keep it brief, I really like the zany energy this one has. Kentucky Kenny getting caught up in the tractor beam while he's on the toilet is a really funny detail, and the tribe cheese is there as well, so it's pretty cool just how many of the level's gimmicks they fit in naturally here. When I think of honest Pizza Tower title cards that are a real treat despite not doing anything super out of the ordinary, this is the first one to come to mind. Liar, liar, pants on fire! No title card is more dishonest than my number 7 pick, Deep Dish 9. The actual level has no spaceship transformation, no tractor beams, and neither of these alien enemies are anywhere to be found. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. Take a look at Peppino's face here. This is pretty much the only card in the game where he's just straight up happy. The card is setting you up for a wacky level that's just a really strange and fun time, and it sure delivers. I sure didn't expect to be seeing Pizza Scare of all levels as high as number 6 on this ranking, but here we are. This card tells you exactly what this level's deal is, with the Exorcist front and center, ready to throw down with a pizza. I really like the visceral hatred that's depicted between these two. Peppino himself isn't as big of a focus here, he's instead being chased by the Ghost King in the background. This card sets the tone for World 5 perfectly. There's a whole lot of showdowns and a whole lot of scares. Pepperbot Factory makes it all the way to 5th place, and I always like the palpable tension in this one. If you look closely at Peppino's outfit, you can see he's wearing metal clothes, which makes me think that he's trying to blend in with the Pepperbots in order to infiltrate the factory. Also, I always thought Peppino looked vaguely like Nigel Thornberry in this one. Some people might dock this one for the intro jingle only being 3 notes long, but if you listen carefully you can hear a similar rhythm to Pizza Engineer backing this opening, and I quite like it. 4th place goes to the Pig City. This kinda ties back into what I was talking about with Fast Food Saloon, in that this title card follows the continuity of the game surprisingly well. If you're playing the game in chronological order, then this level takes place right after the noise fight. There's a few ways to interpret this card. Maybe the noise is really just extremely oblivious to how dangerous Pig City truly is, and he's genuinely greeting these 2 residents who are about to shoot each other. Another reading is that after being defeated by Peppino in their battle, Noise is trying to retaliate by giving away Peppino's location to these 2 so he can get a piece of the large cash reward shown on the poster in the background. I personally buy the second interpretation a bit more, just because Noise also gives you a really dastardly and smug glare in the slum's hub world. This also registers on a symbolic level too, because the Noise is literally handing you over to the Pig City, just like how the player is in the process of moving from the Noise battle to the first level of World 4. Anyways, this concludes my obligatory convoluted tangent about the lore of very minor aspects of Pig City. Putting that aside, this card instantly hits you with just how bleak and rundown this setting is. Both the Pig Guy and Pizza Slug look like characters you don't want to spend too much time around, and this contrasts perfectly with Noise's carefree and silly nature. I love it. Now time for the top 3. Everybody wanna be an iconic title card, but few do it better than Gnome Forest. Even if it weren't for the meme, this one just oozes silliness. A lot of the title cards depict the characters' faces contorting to really weird proportions to put the player on edge, but here the characters are contorted for maximum comedic effect. Peppino is just stanced up with his hands behind his back and like we're somehow supposed to take him seriously with that outfit on. Gustavo's just really happy to be here, and Brick is celebrating something, probably the fact that this is the first level he's playable in. You went into this tier list knowing full well that Lario would be one of the top ones, and yeah, it's well deserved. Don't Make a Sound just really loves that silver medal, doesn't it? This is one I've already discussed extensively back in my ranking of all the Pizza Tower levels themselves, so if you want the full story on why this one's so amazing, then I recommend watching that video, but the short version is that this one's just really clever with how it oozes disingenuous tranquility. Honestly, there's still quite a bit more I have to say about this card that I didn't mention previously. For example, did you notice that this is the only title card in the game to not have any shadows? It really helps to make the image feel more amateurish, almost like a kid in the pizzeria drew it. Another cool little tidbit is that even in this much more peaceful depiction of them, the Mushroom and Tomato monsters are still abiding by their in-game movement patterns, with Mushroom chasing Peppino linearly while Tomato flies freely in. There's also just a lot of cute little details randomly thrown in, like the little happy stupid rat beneath the center rainbow. This not-so-innocent fun-filled fantasy world was one of many reasons why the stage placed so high in the level ranking, so you'd better believe the card itself is among the highest ones here as well. This one's... wow, it's just flawless. The pure look of victorious rage on Peppino's face here says it all. He's conquered every level, every enemy, and every challenge getting in the way of him saving his pizzeria. And now all he has to do is get the heck out of there before the place collapses. No other title card conveys the raw emotion of the moment nearly as well as this one does. And there's just so many familiar faces to find in the heap of the defeated characters here, and that makes the card a very fun stroll down memory lane, much like the actual level this card is for. The setting sun casting a shadow on the whole thing is a great way of conveying that the game might be nearly finished, but it's not time for the credits quite yet. I never doubted for a second that this one was going to get the top spot. So there you have it, all 21 title cards of Pizza Tower ranked from worst to best. If you want to see more of me rambling on about Pizza Tower levels, then you might want to check out my hour-long video ranking the actual levels themselves. I put a card for it above if you're interested. Also, I only have a few more ideas for possible Pizza Tower rankings I can do in the future, but if you want them to become a reality, then please let me know you enjoyed this type of content by liking the video and subscribing. It really goes a long way towards helping the channel grow. But with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.